You don't need to be a nuclear scientist to know how to build a nuclear reactor on an island. You only need to know this. There are essentially two things that happen within a nuclear reactor. The reactivity either goes up or it goes down. All I do is maintain balance. Uranium ingots. As uranium ingots are fed to the reactor, reactivity goes up. But if you do not balance this reactivity, the heat never stops rising. So, reactor fuel control. They reduce reactivity like a furnace without coal. There's a fourth factor to consider. Diamond blocks. Diamond blocks take heat out of the system. However, as reactivity is ongoing, waste is generated. The waste increases temperature, which means more heat, which means more reactivity, which means we would have a problem if it were not for this. Reactor control rods. When reactor control rods are inserted into the reactor, the temperature drops, which means the reactivity drops. Thus, maintaining the beautiful balance we call a nuclear reactor. The island needed the nuclear reactor due to the lack of power supply for growing demands. A reward of unlimited energy was worth the risk of a potential nuclear meltdown. In order to build a nuclear reactor, we are going to need a lot of materials. I've taken stock in all of the recipes, and graphite, emerald diamonds, uranium, and iron are the main ingredients to make everything. The main recipe we're going to be utilizing is reactor casings, which require 4 iron, 4 graphite, and uranium. Nuclear reactors in SkyFactory can be upscaled to any size you desire. You build nuclear reactors like a cube, so we are going to need a ton of this reactor casing. As of right now, we have 495 iron. However, I have not taken any resources from the garden close that we made last episode. So we have a whole lot of dyes to utilize. So graphite ingots are made from just simply smelting coal. You can get coal via black dye. So let's utilize our mystical agriculture episode and get combining. And of course, a nuclear reactor will be not only this achievement, but as well as this. Though I don't know if we'll be able to build a reactor this large. Alright, so we've added to the material count a good bit. It seems like for now what we want to do is an 8x8x8 reactor and then expand on it later. I got a building sector, by the way, so ideally this should help me build a lot faster. I want to build this nuclear reactor some distance away from my base in case of a meltdown. Since I don't really know what I'm doing. I guess this is probably a good enough distance. You can see my sugarcane growing down there. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is make reactor casings. And so 4 stacks, I think I've already mapped this out. Alright, so that's 6 stacks of reactor casing, and I think that is enough. Alright, so I can place the reactor casings here. Okay, now we need to fill the reactor. To fill the reactor, we are going to need our reactor fuel rods as well as diamond and emerald blocks. And we want to place the fuel control rods, what are they called? The reactor fuel rods in a plus sign like this, and the diamond / emerald like so. Alright, let's see if I have enough materials. And of course I do not even have close. Let's just start building and see how far we can get. Alright, so I got some more materials. Time to make some more rods. Let's go 32 for now. Alright, so I made 32 more fuel rods. Let's see if this is enough. I think I'll be just short. Alright, so we're pretty close on the emerald and diamond blocks. Emerald and diamond have the same moderation effect, so it doesn't matter which one you use. You can use a mixture or either. So diamond blocks have these stats as moderators. Gold is pretty close. I'm getting a little impatient on waiting for diamond and emerald blocks. I'm going to take a bit of a risk here, and we're going to make some gold blocks to fill the rest of the reactor. Alright, so everything is filled now. And then where the fuel rods are, we want to place reactor control rods. So we're going to need 20 of these, and the rest we can close with reactive casings. But I only want 20. Now we need 3 other items. We need a reactor terminal, and we need 2 access ports. Alright, let's try this again. So the access ports, we need 2. One is an input and one is an output. Then we need to make this platform a little bigger so I don't fall off. Alright, and then we'll put the access points here and here. Place some chests, and finally we'll know if this works pretty quickly. We break this and place the reactor terminal, and bam. That's how you know that you've built a proper nuclear reactor. It changes shape. So this will be our input, and we'll make this our output. Okay, and then our reactor terminal tells us information. This section will be the ratio of fuel, how hot the reactor is, the temperature of the fuel, and then how much power we're generating, which is what the goal of this video is. And I actually realized I need one more item. We need a power tap because we have to have a place to extract the power we're generating. Alright, we'll put the power tap on the side, and then we'll have an energy cable that'll be our outlet. Alright, so what I'll do to test and see if this is working is I'll make a battery. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to place an energy cable here, save a location for a GPS card, and I'm going to put the energy transfer node by the nuclear reactor. Reinsert the GPS data cards. Okay, and now is time to see if I did this all correctly. So I can place uranium in the access port. Alright, one last thing. Before we start this up, I want to make one final touch. Alright, well, all I have to do to turn this on is hit this button. So, let's see what happens. Okay, so if everything's going correctly, there should be cyanite. Yep, cyanite is the waste that is exported into this chest. And then how is the reactor terminal? 3000 degrees Kelvin. I have no idea if this is good or not. Oh, look how much power it's generating. Okay, so I put this on the node. Oh man. They are all fully powered. Is everything over here fully powered? Yup. Okay, yeah, so I think everything is just working really well. But it looks pretty stable. It is like a lot over 2000 Kelvin. I don't know if that's actually a problem or not. And it looks like we have a ton of fuel as well. Holy jeez. Is all this energy just going to waste or? Oh. Holy smokes. Alright, so I've had it off for around a minute or two and I am slowly losing energy because this reactor isn't on. And it has to supply all these other machines. But that is amazing.